So Cathie Wood, super influential person when it comes to Bitcoin and tech stocks and really technology as a whole, had a lot of things had a lot of things to say recently about Bitcoin, and we're going to dive into it. This is a little bit longer video. There's going to be a longer clip that shows Cathie breaking things down. She recently went on yesterday. I want to show you guys that whole clip toward the tail end of this video because you guys need to see it as we get ready and plan and strategize for 2024. This is going to be kind of a Bitcoin price analysis with a Bitcoin kind of outlook for 2024 now that the Bitcoin ETFs have been approved. So with all that being said, let's not waste any more time. Let's jump right in. Go ahead and hit that like button for us, guys, down below. We've got an article over on Yahoo Finance talking about Cathie Wood and just what she said recently, even as early as this morning, regarding where she thinks Bitcoin is heading here, short-term and long-term. But she says right now, every month they compile a report that sheds light on the latest Bitcoin-related developments, giving short-term and long-term information that helps them gain better insight. She's always been at the forefront of Bitcoin's big moves. After a solid end of 2023, Bitcoin surpassed key indicators that ARK Invest and its analysts track closely. While these indicators are often used for TA and day trading, they can also still benefit investors for the long term. A buy and hold strategy here can still gain some insight. So one of the most intriguing discoveries detailed in the report was Bitcoin's resurgence as the year closed. If you guys remember, those final 150 days or so were massive for Bitcoin. Bitcoin's reclamation of these critical technical levels dating back since the last bull run show that it's at the early to mid stage of a bullish trend. So if you look at some of the data out there, we're roughly about 30% into this bullish push for Bitcoin and crypto. While Bitcoin's 50% jump in the last 3 months of 2023 led to some long-term holders beginning to sell, ARK still thinks it's far from reaching its peak, and they are going to be taking basically a buy and hold strategy here. The report highlighted that at the end of December, 90% of the total Bitcoin supply was sitting at a profit, which is huge. Now, all data on the blockchain is public. We know that ARK can actually analyze when and at what price each investor purchased and sold. With this data, ARK found that the last time profit levels were this high was when Bitcoin was around 58,900 back in November 2021. So there are some profit taking happening right now, but at its core, Bitcoin is still looking really bullish for the long term. And it looks as if Cathie Wood and company at least want to see what happens after the Bitcoin halving. And the short-term outlook for Bitcoin looks encouraging. The significance of these security metrics cannot be overstated. Of course, we talked about the mining difficulty in some other recent videos. They are the foundation of Bitcoin's long-term value proposition. It says sustained growth is essential for Bitcoin's long-term value as it reinforces Bitcoin's claim as the most secure and decentralized blockchain. And of course, when we, listen to Cathie Wood speak, she spoke recently on a lot of different topics here yesterday. We've covered the whole Vanguard situation, and she thinks that's an absolute terrible decision. And she also just spoke on the overall kind of outlook of Bitcoin right now. I want you guys to go inside here and take a listen to what Cathie Wood has to say in this clip. Again, listen carefully because there's a lot to glean here from this conversation she had recently with Yahoo Finance. Take a listen.
Typically, in a situation like this where there are a lot of competitors, the market consolidates. So we would expect that to happen. We hope and trust that we will be one of the winners. And I think from our point of view, we have some competitive advantages. A lot of people are talking about fees, and I'll get to that, but there are 3 competitive advantages that I think are very important. One is our infrastructure and operations. Our partner 21 Shares has built this infrastructure and been operating 40 different funds through booms and busts, through halvings and forks and airdrops and, and through periods that the ETF industry just has never seen. So our infrastructure is battle tested. The second is research. As you know, we give all of our research away. Our first blog on Bitcoin was the year of our founding, 2014. Our first white paper Bitcoin couldn't serve the three roles of money. We did in collaboration with Art Laffer in 2015, and we gained our first exposure in Bitcoin at $250, and have never left it.
As we mentioned, Cathie Wood, super, super early to Bitcoin. This is certainly a competitive advantage. She's going to get to fees too, so listen in.
We think the story has just begun. So we've been putting prolific research out there, and now we have a Bitcoin monthly report and a Bitcoin brainstorm monthly. So we continue to give our research away, as does our partner 21 Shares. And then the third, and this is not to be underestimated, the third competitive advantage we have is a sales force that started selling our exposure to Bitcoin in 2016. That's when we partnered with Resolute Investment Management. And I remember in the early days, they were saying, oh my goodness, what is this? What's Bitcoin? And so they had to figure out what Bitcoin was, and they paid a lot of attention to our research, and they have developed conviction. I mean, Bitcoin's been a marvelous investment.
Yes, although sometimes a white knuckle one, as it has gone up and down. You said at the beginning that you hope that you will be one of the winners here. I mean, if you look out a year, 5 years from now, do you think there will be 11 spot Bitcoin ETFs? Do you think some of them will have closed?
I don't think there will be 11 spot Bitcoin ETFs. Some may close, some may be consolidated into bigger companies. The more pure play companies may be bought out by the larger players who need more of that expertise in-house. So I do think the process of closing and consolidation will take us down to 3, maybe 4, but more likely 3.
And you were talking about the reasons that people might want to buy your product over some of the others. But as you know, a lot of people are going to look at the fees and they're going to gravitate towards the cheaper end of the spectrum. You guys are on the cheaper end of the spectrum. Is that a big selling point as well?
Yes, well, at 21, and that has significance. Our partner is 21 Shares, and of course, the number of Bitcoin that will ever be minted will not go past 21 million. So some significance there. We are not looking to maximize profit on
ARCA is going to be the second best on this list with fees.
This spot Bitcoin ETF. We are looking at Bitcoin as a public good. It is essentially, from a technology point of view, going to be the financial superhighway of the internet. This is this Bitcoin blockchain technology is what the developers did not build into the internet in the early days, in the early 90s. Why? Because no one ever dreamed that commerce or financial services would take place on this network. Now, finally, we're going to have a native currency in the internet, and it will take out a lot of middlemen because it is a peer-to-peer network. So we want to give investors as much access and exposure to Bitcoin. We don't want fees to get in the way. And of course, ETFs are extremely accessible. So we're pretty excited to be part of the ecosystem and offering a spot Bitcoin ETF.
We're going to continue to listen to this, but one thing I just want to mention, Cathie Wood is probably by far one of the most versed and well-educated when it comes to Bitcoin of all of the people we listen to, the big talking heads. Something to consider.
Yeah, that's really interesting what you're saying about the motivation behind doing this. I am curious, Cathie, how you're invested then in Bitcoin right now, right? I know, of course, that you have exposure through companies like Coinbase, which is the top holding in your benchmark fund. Block at number 6, also a way to get into that. You used to own shares in Grayscale, which is now one of your competitors in the spot Bitcoin ETF market. So I know you love Bitcoin, right? So what are the ways besides what I mentioned that you're getting exposure right now?
Well, you'll see that we did, even before today, we scaled out of GBTC as the discount narrowed so dramatically into ProShares Bitcoin futures. So let's say as a first stop, I can't talk about what we are doing or are going to do in the future, but logic would suggest that we'd be making another move at some point. So that we will not lose exposure to Bitcoin. We're probably more excited about the possibility of price appreciation now that despite the controversy, the SEC has given a spot Bitcoin ETF the green light. I think finally institutions will feel more comfortable stepping in. And what's so interesting right now is that already outstanding, there are, I think it's 19.6 million Bitcoin. There will never be any more than 21 million. 15 million of that 19.6 are in what we call strong hands. Their wallets have not moved Bitcoin in 155 days or more. That's 75% of the outstanding. So now we believe there's going to become, as institutions enter, real scarcity value, and each dollar moving in will have more of an outsized impact now than it did before we got the green light.
Cathie, I want to ask you about one institution that still doesn't want anything to do with these products, and that's Vanguard, which told us in a statement that the spot Bitcoin ETF will not be available.
This is interesting.
For purchase on the Vanguard platform. And we're talking about an institution with what, $7 trillion under management. What do you make of that decision?
Well, consider the source, of course. I think it's a terrible decision. I think it's a strategic blunder. And what Vanguard is doing is basically saying, the world's not going to change. These new financial rails are not going to be successful. We're still going to have 7 middlemen between merchants and consumers, each one taking a toll. And we just don't think that's going to prove correct. Truth always wins out. Innovation solves problems. There's a lot of friction in the financial system. And we believe that Bitcoin, blockchain technology generally are going to take a lot of the friction out of the system. The other reason I think this is a terrible mistake is, they're going to deprive the investors who stay with them of really the first global, decentralized, private, no government oversight, rules-based, critical phrase there, monetary policy, monetary system in history. My mentor, Art Laffer, you may know him from the Laffer curve. He's also a monetary scholar. He said, this is what I have been waiting for 50 years since they closed the gold window in 1971. He is so excited about this new asset class. And that is the other mistake I think that Vanguard is making. It's depriving its clients of access to a new asset class. And what do we know about new asset classes? Well, if it's truly non-correlated or exhibits very low correlation of returns to other assets, then what a diversification into this new asset class will enable is increased return per unit of risk. That I think that advisors have a fiduciary responsibility to look at this new asset class. And to the extent they're working with Vanguard, they will be prohibited. So again, I think it's a strategic blunder, but again, we're all about disruptive innovation. That's all we do. Right. This is the most profound disruptive innovation taking place in the world today.
No doubt about it. Cathie Wood on point. Let me know what you think about all of this down below in the comment section. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I thought Cathie Wood absolutely crushed that interview with Yahoo Finance. That's why I wanted to show it to you in its entirety. Let me know your thoughts down below. Don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you.